Welcome back. In this session, we will look into adding the stored procedure activity. But before that, I need to fix one issue which I made in our last session. So let's jump into the Synapse Studio to fix that issue. If you remember, in our last session, we have added the delete activity inside the for each activity, and we have also added the dynamic path, and while giving the dynamic path, we made a spelling mistake of silver. So let's fix it. Now you must be asking, if we not fix this issue, then what will happen? So to answer your question, I would say that if you not fix this issue, then activity will not perform as expected, and it will not perform delete operation, and if delete will not happen properly, then we are not able to perform create operation using store procedure. I hope I have answered your question. So now we are ready for this session. So let me click on this for each activity again to add the stored procedure activity. And under activity, you can click on the pencil to open the app. And we want to add this stored procedure activity to run after the delete activity. So I'm going to search for stored procedure activity and pick the one under general, as we said before, the one under Synapse for a dedicated SQL pool rather than serverless SQL pool. So let me pick this one up and let's link that to here so that the stored procedure activity runs after the delete activity. And I'm also going to give it another name, and let's go to settings and pick the linked service. We want the link service for the serverless SQL pool. And let's pick this stored procedure name as well. We want the silver trip data, green stored procedure. And if you remember, that stored procedure requires a couple of parameters, so it needs the year and month. Let me show you what I mean. So under script, under LDW, got the stored procedures, and this is the stored procedure we are talking about. And as you can see, it takes in a year and month and uses that. So it's only for that year and month it's going to create the external table. So let me go back to the pipeline and add those parameters. So you add the parameters under the stored procedure parameter section here. So two options you've got. One, you can click on new to create a parameter, or you can just import. When you click on import, it's going to bring those two parameters for me, and it identifies the types as well, which is great. So we've got the month and the year as we talked about, and we need to give a value. So as you know, we want to give the value from our for each statement. So let me click on this, and then you click on the for each iterator, and that gives you the at item, which represent current item. So let's give a month, as we want to fetch the month value for current item. And similarly for the year, you give that item.year. So we've now set both parameter values from our for each iterator, and also we've specified the stored procedure name and everything. So that's everything we need to do for this stored procedure activity. Let's click on debug to run it through. You can see all of the activities have completed successfully and the pipeline has successfully completed, but you will notice that actually, apart from the delete activity, we now have these stored procedure activity as well. So let's take a look at input for one of this stored procedure activities. And I can see we've got the month being set for this 09 and the year 2020. And similarly, you will see the output that successfully said that there won't be much when you run a stored procedure activity, but it has successfully completed. So the best way to check that is to go to the data and have a look at the data. So we are on the silver and the trip data green and the year 2020. We should see all the actual partitions here, and within that, and that executed on the 18th of March. That is today, a couple of minutes ago or a minute ago. So that's successfully completed. So we have now managed to process all of our data from our raw folder into our silver folder, and the data must be written in Parquet as well. So let's take a look at that. So we've got the data written in Parquet as well as we expected. So the only thing left to do is to create that view on top of this folder, and we already have a script for that. If you remember, that script is the create silver views. So we need to put this into a pipeline or add an activity so that it executes as part of the pipeline. You've got two ways of doing that. One is you can turn this into a stored procedure like we did with a lot of other things and execute the stored procedure. Or you can simply call a script activity and do that. So we're going to do a script activity for that one. So let me go back to the pipeline and let me track that down. And we need to add the script activity after the for each statement. So let me find the script activity. And let me drag that over. And I'm going to call this create a silver view. And we need the link service to be selected as we did before. And also we need to provide the query. So in this case, these are non-query is because it's not a select statement. I'm going to click on non-query and copy and paste from here. So I'm going to switch the database, which is the use statement first. And I'm going to put them as 3 different statements. And let me go over here and we got the drop statement next. So let's do that. They will drop the view if it already exists before creating it, and the last one will be the create statement. So let me pick the create view statement as well. So now we've got all of the statements that we need to run in order to create the view. So let's execute the pipeline as a whole and see whether that works. So the pipeline has now successfully completed. And as you can see, we've got the last script, which is the create silver view script, has been executed as well. And as you can see, we've got 3 scripts there, which is to switch to the database and drop the view if already exists and create the view. So that's all been done. So let's go over to our data hub and look at the view. So the view that we created just now is our cell by view here, which is the silver.vw_data green. So let me just select the top 100 rows to make sure that there is data. And that may give us the confidence that all of our code has worked. The pipeline has worked. So as you can see, we've got the data as we expected to see. So we have now successfully completed the creation of the pipeline. So let me click on Publish All and publish the changes. I do not want the SQL script to publish. So I'm going to just discard them and I'm going to only publish the changes I want, which is to the pipeline. And that's the end of this session. I'll see you in the next one.